Let's geek out on some gear, shall we? Today, guys, we're going to be checking out Jim Root's gear through the ears. What's going on, guys? My name's Ray. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Alright, I really enjoyed my first video of this brand new video series with Mick Thompson, and it just so happens that we're going to do his brother on stage, Jim Root. So Jim Root is unique because unlike most people, he has been successful in not one, but two bands. Two bands equals double the gear, but for this video, we're going to be focusing solely on Slipknot gear, alright? If I threw Stone Sour in there, we'd be here all day. Alright, so without further ado, let's talk about the self-titled album. So much like Mick Thompson, Jim Root used solely what was laying around at the time. He did have one very nice custom shot with Jackson, but is on the record that Ross Robinson would often knock it out of his hands and even, quote, drop kick it out of his hands. Ross Robinson was not about having nice material stuff, it was all about the raw emotion, and it had nothing to do with the quality of the instrument. I don't know exactly what that custom Jackson was, however, I do know on the first album cycle, he used a lot of Jackson guitars. For recording, I do believe at times he used the Jackson SLP 80 as well as an SL1 and SL2. For the SL2, it was his backup guitar because Corey Taylor bought it for him during the beginning of the Ozfest tour. For the recording of the self-titled album, Jim Root actually, I don't know if you guys know this, wasn't really involved. I think he only recorded maybe 2 songs. I think Me Inside was one of them, and I'm not really sure about the other one. But I know that he was not on that album for the majority of the time. Their former guitarist, Josh, recorded 95% of the guitars on that album. But the tones that Jim Root did in fact used a Mesa Boogie DC-10. Alright, next we move to Iowa. This is Jim Root's first full-length album with the band, and he used Jackson and PRS guitars during this time. He used a Jackson SL1 for the majority of the time. However, on the later half and the back half of the Iowa cycle, he used a USA PRS private stock guitar. This guitar can be seen during the majority of the Disaster Pieces DVD. I did find one other picture of Jim Root holding a Jackson Warrior that apparently was used during the Iowa time. However, I could not find a picture of him actually playing it. For amps during this time, Jim Root used 2 different amps I found. He used a Rivera Knucklehead Reverb as well as a Diesel Herbert. Alright, now we're on to Volume 3. This is where Jim Root's story gets fun. This is when he becomes, quote, Jim Root in my eyes. This is where he really finds what he wants to use, and he has stuck with it almost to this day. Let's talk about the amp first. He used solely one amp, I believe. It was the Rivera Knucklehead Reverb. And yes, he's no longer with Rivera, but when I say he became Jim Root, I'm talking about the guitars. This is when Jim Root, in my eyes, became, quote, obsessed with Charvel and Fender guitars. One famous guitar is the Charvel San Dimas guitar, which is used during the Before I Forget video. Another famous guitar is the Fender custom Strat made by him. It's basically a flathead Showmaster, but it wasn't a Jim Root signature model. This was the beginning of Jim Root getting that nice matte black finish with the EMGs, no inlays, and it kind of looks just like his Strat. But the most famous guitar during this time, in my opinion, was the Flathead Telly. This guitar was used during Big Day Out, on dozens and dozens of covers of magazines and in pictures. This is when he really became a Telly guy, in my opinion. Which then segues right into All Hope Is Gone. All Hope Is Gone, from here on out, Jim Root has used pretty much the same things over and over and over, with just more different graphics and colors on his guitars. In 2007, the Jim Root Fender Telecaster was announced, and that has been his #1 ever since. It's been on every single record that he's done. It's been on every single tour that he's done. The white Telly with Jim Root is almost like Eddie Van Halen and his red, white, and black striped guitar. It's Jim Root's #1. It is completely reliced out now, and it's almost yellow, not even white anymore. It's his baby, and it's the guitar that he is absolutely known for. The Telly was actually the first and only signature model at the time of the recording of All Hope Is Gone. During this time, Jim Root became an orange artist. He started to use the Rockerverb 100 Mark IIs. However, I did see in certain articles he did again use the Diesel Herbert, kind of blended in with the orange amp. That brings us to the 2009 era. So Slipknot had been touring all over the world in support of All Hope Is Gone in 2009, and this is when he then got his signature Strat. He got his first one, which actually wasn't a signature model, it was a Billy Corgan Strat converted visually to look like a signature Jim Root Strat, and that guitar is actually seen in the Sulphur music video. I personally have both of his signature Strats. However, in I believe about 2015, the white signature Strat went away. It's no longer in production. I think it's because of the maple board. Jim Root on record has been known to saying that engineers tend to shy away from maple due to the top end that ultimately has to be cut out during the mix, so now he sticks with ebony boards 99% of the time. After Paul's passing, that's when we started to have the Knot Fest and the Sonosphere festivals, and that's when Jim Root really started to show up on stage with a lot of different colors. He had a lot of Silverburst guitars, he had a Silverburst Strat, a Silverburst Telly, he even had a Gibson Flying V on stage with the Knot. He had a ton of different paint jobs and finishes, and that's also when the Jazzmaster became a huge factor in Jim Root's arsenal. I believe the white one was his first one, but now he has a black one, a red one, a sandblasted one, so on and so on, an Antigua finished one. He's got a ton of them. And lastly, last piece of gear during the All Hope Is Gone era, Jim Root then released his signature cab and signature Tiny Terror with orange. This brings us to the .5 era and the present day. Not much has changed since All Hope Is Gone, except more colors. I think Jim Root now plays the Jazzmaster the most. However, his white Telly and his Strats also made it onto the recording of the .5 Gray Chapter album. For amps, he's now using the Mark IIIs, I believe. However, I have seen him using Mark IIs and Mark IIIs going back and forth. He likes to use different stuff and have a lot of different tonal varieties and likes to spice up his live rigs. But I don't think he used anything but orange ever since All Hope Is Gone. Alright guys, so that's Jim Root's gear through the years. I love Jim Root, man. I love his gear, and I love Fender just like he does, and I like geeking out along with him. So what'd you think of the video? Let me know down below in the comments who you would like to see next on this video series. I've gotten a lot of great feedback on the Mick Thompson video, and now I hope to have some great feedback as well in this video. Leave down below who you would like to see next, and I'll be sure to knock it out for you guys, alright? If you want to check out more of my social media links, they're all down below, to include some of my EPs, which I'm in the middle of finishing up my third one in 12 months. Very excited about that. Instagram's down there, my Patreon page, if you want to become a patron, help support this channel, help me out, help this channel grow, get more content on this channel. And if you decide to become a patron, there's awesome goodies for your eyes only on my page, to include giveaways and behind the scenes stuff. Please, if you'd like to support me, I'd really appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing on this channel, if you're brand new, again, thank you so much for joining me. Please hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. Alright guys, enough of my rambling. I'm out of here. Stay metal, and I'll see you guys next time.